The beats, the flow, the rhythm. All movements start from the streets. Streets A&R Podcast. All right. Hey, we recording. Red light is on as usual.
It's happening.
As usual. I see C came in her semi-professional. Let me throw a jacket on and some heels.
I had a couple meetings today, so I was like, let me just
be ready for
transition it to this evening.
Yeah, she came with the blazer. She came with the blazer. But welcome to the Streets A&R Podcast. It's your host, Giddy Jicky with it.
And it's your girl, CLB.
And today we have a very, very special guest in the house. Someone that if you live in our community, you should know and have seen and know very well. Been a servant of this community for many, many years, a few decades in various capacities. Somebody that is a man of the people, that's around the people. And if you don't know him, you probably done bought some stuff from his daughter because she sells some fly stuff, some jewelry and everything like that.
Yes. Or you haven't renewed your license at the DMV if you have not seen.
Or if you owe some taxes. He coming for that every penny. That's part of the campaign, every penny. But we have none other than Omaha Mayoral candidate, Mr. John Ewing in the house.
Yes.
Welcome, John. We would have some applause, but my man is on other business. We do it in live person applause. But welcome to the podcast.
Thank you both for having me.
Of course.
Man, so just to start out, I just want to ask kind of the beginning. My first question would be, who are you? Meaning, what offices have you had?
Sure.
What have how'd you come about wanting to become the mayor? So who are you? What's your background? And what drove you to want to take leadership in the city of Omaha?
Sure. I'm John Ewing, your next mayor, first of all.
Hey.
Yes.
And then secondly, I'm born and raised here in North Omaha and have been committed to this community as a public servant since I was 20 years old. When I joined the police department, I did a lot of good stuff there in the crime prevention unit, as well as the unit commander for the special victims unit, and then the deputy chief of police services bureau as well. In that role, I was able to head up the crime prevention covenant, which eventually led to 360, and that allowed us to be able to reduce gun violence by about 70% in Omaha. And that was particularly important to me because we know when there's gun violence, unfortunately, that's usually one of our young men that's been shot or shot and killed, or the shooter and things of that nature. And I want our young men to be able to have their greatest opportunities by being able to avoid those type of situations and be able to not have to worry about that type of activity in our community. So that was critically important to me, as well as for me personally, having to go to people's families and tell them that a young man had been shot and killed was probably some of the worst moments of my career. So I wanted to be able to leave an impact after I retired. After being a deputy chief with the police department for about 2.5 years, I was elected to be the Douglas County treasurer. When I was elected, I became the first Black person in Nebraska's history to ever be elected to a county-wide office.
Oh, wow.
Unfortunately, I'm still the only one, but I was pushing really hard for my good friend Wayne Hudson when he was running for a sheriff, because I believe he would have been a great sheriff here. But he still, even without getting that election, was able to make history himself by becoming the first Black chief in Shaker Heights, Ohio. So I was able to be a reference and help in that capacity as well. So that's one of the things I try to do, is mentor and support people along their journey. And so I'm very proud of his success there.
Gotcha. That's funny. I'm very familiar with that part.
Yes.
In Shaker and Cleveland. I went to school in Ohio, so many of my friends come from Shaker Heights. So. And just a follow-up question then, when it came to deciding to run for mayoral office, what were some of the considerations that you took to say, you know what, this is something that not just I need as a candidate, but I believe the city needs? Like, what were your considerations in taking office?
So let me start by saying I don't need this.
Gotcha.
I don't need all the headaches. I don't need all of the stuff that goes with being in a campaign. But I felt like this city needed this, and I felt like in particular North and South Omaha needed this, because quite honestly, I have not seen economic development really truly worked on in North and South Omaha in my lifetime. And so one of the things I talk about all the time is being very intentional about economic development. So one of the things I want to do is I want to take the urban core plan that they have, which is primarily focused on downtown. I want to take that and expand that into North and South Omaha as well. Okay. So North and South Omaha get some of the benefits of being part of that plan, and we can create opportunities for housing. We can create opportunities for jobs. We can create retail opportunities and just make those communities a true part of this city's fabric, because people do a lot of talking about North and South Omaha. They do very little listening and talking to the people of North and South Omaha. And I pride myself on having established relationships all over this community, because I talk to people and I listen to people rather than talking about people. Right. And I do things with people rather than doing things to people. And I think when you build those kind of partnerships, that's when you can get great things done.
Gotcha.
Yes, that's beautiful. And you literally just answered a question that I was about to ask, so thank you for that. But kind of going back to the community violence, like you touched on a little bit, it continues to be a concern in North and South Omaha. Beyond funding, what are your actual strategies for prevention and intervention and healing in these areas?
Sure. So one of the things I believe is that a police department is best when they do community policing. Right now, the Omaha Police Department is about 130 officers short. So rather than being able to do some of the things they did when I was there, where we did the business watch, we did the community meetings, and really became part of the fabric, they're busy answering radio call after radio call. So there's not as much emphasis put on building the relationship. So I think that's critical, that you build that relationship. I think one of the things we have to look at when we look at our young people and violence and their potential for success, we've got to start much earlier than we are. We start worrying about our boys when they're 12, 13, 14 years old.
Right.
That is too late. We've got to get with our young boys and make sure they are successful academically first.
Right.
Sports and all those other things are nice, but if they are not successful academically, they will become the young men that drop out of society. And when they drop out of society at the age of 12 or 13 and they start hanging with the wrong people, doing the wrong things, then you're in a position where you're going to be coming to them in adverse situations where maybe they've committed a crime, maybe they've been the victim of a crime, those type of things. So we've got to invest much sooner. We've got to make sure they have mentors. We've got to make sure they have people that they can see, that they can be proud of, that they can believe that their dreams are possible. And one of the reasons I'm running for mayor is I want our people, young people, no matter where they grow up in this city, no matter what they look like, I want them to believe that their dreams are possible. Brenda Council says this, and I absolutely agree with her. To a person who has no hope, consequences mean nothing.
Wow.
So if we don't instill hope in our young people, then we are putting them in a position where they're likely to give up. they're likely to drop out of society. Then we're going to have to do intervention. We're going to have to do arresting and all of those things. We got to stop it before it gets there. And I'll share a story with you also. You can see the power of hope. Mm-hmm. There was an evangelist that came to Omaha, Luis Palau. And I was at a breakfast, and they had a great program, had everything lined up, but they didn't have anybody to do the invocation or benediction. I'm sorry, the benediction. So as they were looking to get somebody to do the benediction, John Katosh, who is the president of American National Bank, and I had just met that day. And I was sitting at the table with him, and we had a nice conversation. And he stood up and said, I just met this young man today, but I'm really impressed, and I'd like him to do the benediction. So I did. And then stood around talking after the program was over. Luis Palau was standing around talking as well. And after a while, I said, he might be waiting to talk to me. So I walked over after it was just him, his bodyguard, and me. I said, were you waiting to talk to me? He said, I was. And he had been driven around the city of Omaha the day before. So he saw North Omaha, he saw South Omaha, he saw West Omaha, and he saw the disparities. And he asked me a question, and I had never thought about this before in my life. He said, what made the difference for you? And the answer I had for him was hope. Because at the age of 12, I didn't know anything about college, quite honestly. But I knew I was going to go to college, and I knew I was going to be successful. I don't even know where that thought came from. But at the age of 12, that's the thought I had. I'm going to be successful. I'm going to go to college. So now, in reality, I was going to college to be a businessman. I've never been a businessman. I was actually working at Sears and working on my degree, and a couple people, Joe Crinklaw and Linda DeBolt, were people who worked security at Sears. Joe was a police officer, and Linda was a secretary for the police department. And they both started asking me to apply. Wow. I applied to get them off my back. Literally, I applied, leave me alone. But then I started to think about the fact that I was in school to get a good job. The fact that Black men didn't have a whole lot of opportunities. So you better take the one that comes and embrace it. And so I literally said, okay, I'm going to do this thing. And part of it was recognizing the limited opportunities, but part of it was recognizing the opportunity to really be able to impact people's lives. And it was an amazing career. But I never expected that. When I ran for Douglas County Treasurer, that was new. I had never expected to be in the political arena. But I applied for chief of police in Bellevue, and I finished #1 in a national search. Wow. And they hired the #2 guy. No. So.
Wow.
Yeah. So when those type of things happen,
make a shift.
You're devastated. But one of the things I've learned is this. No matter what happens, there's a lesson to be learned. So I asked God, what is the lesson I am supposed to learn? And the lesson I was supposed to learn was that I could lead an organization.
Yes.
So then it was a matter of, okay, God, what is it? And God literally told my wife and I, run for Douglas County Treasurer and you'll win. Now I'm going to go back a little bit because I think this is important for our young people to think about. The reason that I thought I could win that race for Douglas County Treasurer had nothing to do with me. It had a lot to do with Brenda Council and the fact that she had ran for mayor and got very close. So that gave me the belief that it was possible. And that's what I want our young people to do. I want them to see people and see people striving to do things and then let that inspire them.
Mm-hmm.
If Brenda Council had not run for mayor, I would not have run for Douglas County Treasurer.
Right.
I would not have run for Congress in 2012.
Mm-hmm.
And I probably wouldn't be running for mayor today. But because I saw that, this is where I'm at. And so that's one of the things that's critically important to me, is that our young people, especially young Black boys and young Black girls, see somebody excelling and say, hey, I can do it too.
Yes.
Not necessarily the same thing, but whatever their dream is or whatever opportunities come their way. And so I think that's critical, that we as a community and as adults in particular, we understand that our young people are watching us.
Right.
And we need to be good role models.
Right.
I was at the African American Achievement Awards graduation, and you would have been amazed at the number of young 18-year-olds who were wishing me good luck for the mayor's race and who were talking about voting for me. That's what we want them to do. We want them to be aware of what's going on in their community and how they can play a role in it. And so it just blew me away. And Precious McKesson was with me and standing next to me, and she heard that, and she actually did a post about it because she was so amazed that the young people were that engaged.
Yeah.
But that's what we've got to do for them. We've got to be role models. We've got to let them see, just like the 100 Black Men says, what they see
It's what they'll be.
is what they'll be. And so that's what I'm trying to do every day. I'm trying to give young people a belief that their dreams are possible.
For sure. And you running for mayor, and yes, you will be mayor. So that will be a beautiful thing for our young people. And I'm 33 years old, graduated from
You're
Benson
still
High
young.
School. Yes. But I look at the youth today, you know, the 13 to like 16-year-olds. Oh, okay. Sorry. And I think about how much times have changed since I've been young. Even so much so, seeing these youth being dropped off downtown in the summertime because there's nothing for them to do. And of course, you know, when I was coming up, and now still, there was programs like Girls Inc., Boys and Girls Club, and things like that. But do you plan to, or feel like there should be more educational curriculum programming outside of schools, as well as entertainment to be provided for the youth, for them to hone in and really believe that they have hope for themselves?
I think we have to always be looking at providing opportunities and exposure. I think one part of that is being able to have some fun. I think another part of that is being able to earn some money.
Right.
When our young people are working and they have a little money in their pocket, they have a sense of pride, and they're less likely to get involved in negativity. When I was growing up, they had a program called Comprehensive Employment Training Act, or CETA. And we used to get summer jobs at different places. One of the places I got a summer job was at the police department.
Wow.
And didn't really think anything about it at the time. But later on, when those two people were talking to me about joining the police department, I didn't actually have the same fear or maybe negative exposure to police. I had positive exposure because I worked in the building. And so then I ended up having an almost 25-year career there.
Wow.
So what we tried to do with the Empowerment Network 18, 19 years ago was we tried to recreate something like that in Omaha. Willie Barney and Ben Gray did the heavy lifting because I was working as the treasurer every day. But what I tried to do was help them be able to establish it and get the credibility and the funding that we needed to be able to pay these young people. Our crime rate went down dramatically that summer, and our summer months are a lot less violent, a lot less trouble because young people are working.
Right.
So we need to expand things like that. But then also we need to make sure that our young people that might need a little bit of extra help academically have access to summer school or other activities where they can learn.
Right.
Because we need to make sure that they have the ability to compete. Because here's what I want to do. We are growing our number of jobs much slower than a lot of Midwest cities. I want to upskill our people so they're ready. And then we can start bringing in companies who want a good workforce. They're not going to come here if we don't have the workforce.
Right.
So we've got to get all our young people ready to compete, because when they are ready to compete, then we as a city can compete. And I'll just give you guys the math that someone shared with me a couple weeks ago. But if we had created 29,000 more jobs, which is what Des Moines, Iowa has done, a much smaller city. If we had created as many jobs as they have, and it was a high-paying job, at least $60,000 a year, we would have $1.7 billion more dollars of income in the city of Omaha. So then that means that money those people are making is going to turn over in our community and be a multiplier. So what we want to do is have it do that, but also have it do it in North Omaha, because what we don't want is for people to get paid and then not have an opportunity to buy and support things in North and South Omaha. That money turns over once and it's out of the community. The more we can get that money to turn over with grocery stores, with retail, with restaurants, those type of things, other businesses, then we can really build an economy in this city that works for everybody. So if we can get that money turning over 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 times, that's how you grow a city. That's how you grow a community.
Right.
No, I agree. And it's something that's actually stuff I've been interested in and looking at since I've been here. I've been here 11 years. And one thing I like doing is seeing certain types of maps. And there's simple maps I like looking at, like learning, getting on, trying to get a hotel. Very simple map, but guess where there are no hotels? In the neighborhoods they don't want you to go to. So North and South Omaha, if you look on there, there are 0 hotels.
That's wild, and that's something that I never even paid attention to.
Think about, there are 0 hotels there, right? You know, because they don't count Cumming Street as North Omaha, even though that's North Omaha. But there's none. And when you talk about restaurants, North and South Omaha outside of Dundee area, there's nothing above a 2-star. Right? So now we don't have dining. We don't have decent dining. We have all fast food or some local shops. We don't have anywhere for you to stay. So if you come to visit, you got to go out where other people can be, where they live and in their communities, and have their family stay there. So, and now we have something, we are now undergoing the construction of the airport to change it to an international airport, which is Iowa, but it's also North Omaha at the same time. With that being said, when it comes to, we know about crime reduction and upskilling, are there any pertinent issues that you want to undergo as mayor that you can get a real foothold in to push this community, especially when you talked about earlier with the economic development?
Sure. I think the things you pointed out in terms of lack of access or lack of those things being in our community, I think we have to be very intentional about looking at how we can change that. So when we see something that's not there, that should be there, we look at how we're going to partner with developers, how we're going to partner with the community and build it.
Yes.
But that's my goal, to be able to have things in North and South Omaha, like I see when I go to Exarban, or like I see when I go to Dundee, or like I see when I go to Benson or some of the Midtown. I want us to be able to have those same type of things in our community, and then that will be an economic driver. So we have to make sure people understand that North Omaha is safe, and North Omaha has great people, and North Omaha has people that want to work, and let's build this with that labor force.
No, for sure.
Yeah. And
it's I really hate the tags we give on certain neighborhoods of we have to say something like North Omaha is safe, when historically in any major city, downtown is your unsafest portion, but we don't even constitute that. Right. But we know what they're really saying when we say who's safe and who's not safe.
Sure. Well, and what I'm looking at is we have to combat the fear of the unknown that some people might have.
For sure.
Yeah.
And so then when we can show that it is, then we can get more of those type of developments and people to build those things and work with us to help build the community.
Yeah.
Right. And there's so many parts of North Omaha. Like you think of North Omaha, you think of Florence area, down by the airport, 24th, 20th Street. And kind of speaking on 24th Street, I frequent that area a lot. And it really breaks my heart because it's so desolate. Like there's literally only one billboard along the whole strip of 24th. And you have all of these empty buildings.
Empty lots that could be used for businesses. I actually had a woman walk up on me one day on 24th, and she was telling me that she had started pre-planning and got some contracts for some land in that area. Of course, a Caucasian woman. And I just, as she's talking, it was just kind of became want for me, because I'm like, there's so many Black and brown people who have businesses and want to build infrastructure. How do we include them in these city contracts? How do we inform them about meetings? Is that a shift that you're proposing?
Absolutely it is.
Yeah.
What we're going to have to do is two things. One, we're going to have to build the capacity of our Black businesses and our Latino businesses. And then we're going to have to build partnerships. So if somebody wants to do something in North Omaha, you can't have anything technically that would be a set aside or anything like that based on race, but you certainly can encourage people to look at and to partner with Black businesses in that area that do that particular work. So we just have to be more intentional and build partnerships and build accountability with people that want to do work.
For sure.
Yeah, and piggybacking off that point, because we know kind of right now with the federal climate of DEI work and not being able to use certain words and stripping institutions of offices, things of that nature. One thing I've been an advocate for, and I said this in the meeting, I was in Ohio and I had to speak up, and I'm like, we have enough data and information to make a case that is almost undeniable because of how we collect data, especially in cities like Omaha, to where we don't have to say a race or a people at all. We can simply use our area and zip code data to drive everything that we do, because we've been so meticulous at taking the data and showing the areas that are insufficient in our neighborhoods. So with that, what are some of the things that you want to utilize and accomplish without the DEI help, and not saying, as an example you just said, using area data to say you need to include this percentage of contractors from this neighborhood, or at least get a bid from them. Do you have a plan to do some of those things in both North and South Omaha, and are there any particulars you want to do with those?
What I want to do is build the willingness of people to partner. You don't want to necessarily force people to partner, because then you don't get the same results. So I've been talking to developers, I've been talking to unions about being more intentional and making sure that they provide opportunities, because that's what it's going to take, is partnership. And I think what I see is very similar to what happened in Atlanta when you start having Black people in positions where they could help direct things. Then people became much more willing to get engaged in order to be part of what was going on. So I think that's what I want to do, is build the willingness and the want to, and then provide the incentivation, the incentives to actually get people to say, okay, this makes good business sense. One of the things I won't run from is my belief that we need to be intentional and we need to be inclusive. And so I've said this before, but if there's a threat to the city of Omaha in terms of funding or any of those kind of things, as we're looking at being inclusive, I'll see you in court. And I believe we'll win. If you look at the people who have stood up to the nonsense and sued, they've won. So I think the reality is, if we don't become cowards and back away from what we believe, I believe you can be successful, and I believe you can get things done. But you have to be willing to stand for what's right, not back away because of a threat.
Right. No, I definitely agree, and I think we already have the data and the tools to push it to almost to where you almost call them out on their prejudice behavior if they deny it, because all of Omaha that you're talking about is a part of Omaha. North and South Omaha is Omaha. Why would we not want to develop all of Omaha? And it's gonna, it's like a Uno reverse card.
Yeah.
Like, well, these areas need these jobs. These areas need this. We need to make these areas more vibrant. Now, why do you say no?
And here's what people have to understand with that. What you end up doing is you end up making Omaha a better and more vibrant city overall.
Yes.
It's not taking anything away from what we're already doing. It's adding to, and then it's building our economy. Most people look at things from a scarcity standpoint or a limited resources standpoint. Now, forgive me for being a little spiritual here.
Oh, please do not.
But I believe I
apologize.
serve a great big God
Amen.
who has the ability to provide the resources that we need to be able to get this done. So that's just always been my belief. I don't look at what we don't have. I look at what we do have, and then we go to work with what we do have, and then we get what we need along the way.
Yeah.
For sure. Me and Eric were always talking about this, since he's not from here but has spent a lot of time here. Omaha is a beautiful, vibrant city, and it is a diamond in the rough.
Absolutely.
But a lot of older corporations and elitists that have the top dollar like to treat it like it's 1995 and create a bit of segregation amongst people. And I think that's the biggest thing the city needs, is being more inclusive.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep.
I have told people this many times, and I'll say it again. I intend to be the most inclusive mayor that this city's ever had, period.
And that's on all fronts. He said it. Can't be scared in being a police force. So that's all. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's funny because even like we live in Omaha, and even though when you understand the meaning of Omaha, which is to go against the current, just because the current is leading this way, we're supposed to go in the correct direction. We fight the wind, we fight the tide, we go against the grain to get to the right destination. So that's what we're supposed to be anyways, by namesake.
Absolutely. Just because people are doing the majority of people are doing the wrong thing doesn't make it right. And we need to always be willing to do what's right.
Oh, got you. One quick campaign question that I have. When it comes to you running against current Mayor Gene Stothert, what are the main differences that you see in your campaign and what you want to achieve versus what she wants to achieve?
Okay. So I'm going to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing I see is that I'm always going to tell you the truth.
Mm.
Jean Stothard has a record, a history of broken promises to the people of Omaha.
Mm.
She broke her promise about the restaurant tax. She broke her promise about the streetcar. She's misleading when it comes to the police department because she'll have commercials talking about increasing the authorized strength by 100, but we're 130 short. So that increasing the authorized strength has no impact on the quality of life in this city or the quality of our police department because you haven't been hiring.
Mm.
So I look at those things and I don't break promises. Mm-hmm. When I ran for treasurer, I said we were going to restore fiscal integrity. Mm-hmm. We do that. We balance to the penny every day.
Yep.
I said we were going to restore public trust. I always tell you the truth. I said we were going to utilize technology to serve you better. We have revolutionized the Douglas County Treasurer's Office. And by doing that, because we had to build partnerships with the other treasurers and the state DMV, we have actually revolutionized the treasurer's offices across the state of Nebraska because I keep my promises. Mm-hmm. The other thing that we are different on that comes to mind immediately is intentionality about economic development. Mm. When you look at what is happening in North Omaha today, any project that is being done is usually being done with federal money, either that the city got or that the state got. And then we were able to have Senators Terrell McKinney and Justin Wayne put together a plan to help bring money into North and South Omaha. But no city money was put with those things. Now, if I had been mayor, I would have said, okay, we got $90 million for the Inland Port Authority. Here's our $45 million with it, so that when we actually start doing all the infrastructure work and that $90 million is gone, we still have some money to be able to provide some incentives and other things to help get businesses here and help them be able to do the construction they need to be able to be here. But that wasn't done. So what you may end up with, I hope I'm wrong. If I become mayor, I think I can fix it. Mm. But what you end up with potentially without any city money is a great place with a lot of infrastructure and no businesses. Mm-hmm. Mm. So you've got to be intentional about what it takes to get the businesses here.
Yeah, I agree. And before you go, see, I just got to ask one question. Can you please finish the Crossroads Mall?
Absolutely.
Oh,
I mean, not
my
to say
goodness.
finish. Can you start it? Because it's been what, 4 or 5 years of.
Nope. Don't. Let's get to the truth of the matter.
Uh-oh.
The truth of the matter is her 3 terms of 4 years, other than leveling and some dirt work, nothing has been done that has moved that project forward. So it's 12 years.
Wow.
And almost as long with the vacant lot that used to be the Civic Auditorium.
Mm-hmm.
A mayor's job is to lead and to get things done, to make it happen. And there are no excuses. You either did or you didn't.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the kind of person I am. I'm going to get things done.
Yep. And it's so funny because I actually saw you speak, I believe, last year at one of the community walks, and you gave the example of the mall and how the original cost of that project was supposed to be about $450 million. Mm-hmm. And now, or at least up to that date, to be able to complete the exact same project and plans was going to cost the city $850
million. It's going to, by the time it's said and done, I believe it's going to be about $1 billion.
Jesus.
Wow.
And that's our money getting spent. That's city money. It's craziness.
Oh, my goodness. Well, since we're on track with money, I'll ask, and this all these questions are primarily for the people, but who's backing you financially, and how do you ensure your donors don't shape your policy priorities more than the people do?
Sure. First of all, I don't have a lot of special interest groups supporting me. I have unions supporting me, and I have a number of individuals supporting me. I don't have developers supporting me. I don't have the business community supporting me. I've always worked for the community. And even when I've sat down with developers, and even when I sat down with a group of attorneys today from one of our bigger law firms in the city, I made sure it's always clear that I want the people of this community, and especially if we're going to be doing development in their neighborhood, I want them to have a voice in what that looks like. My belief is this: when you do things with people as government, you're going to get a much better result than if you do things to people. And that's what I learned in the police department. When we really worked to do things with the community, we were much more successful. And I believe that applies to government as a whole. We should be a partner helping people be successful. Get out of their way, quit being bureaucratic, and help people get things done. And so that's what I do. I help people get things done. We don't need all the bureaucracy. One of the things I talked about earlier was affordable housing. And I was talking to one of the CEOs today, and he was saying he had been doing some research and talking to people, and he had been told that about 1/3 of the cost of a project or a house is unnecessary regulation. Now, I don't know if it's 1/3 or not, but what if it's 15%? So if we can cut out the bureaucracy and make a house 15% less expensive, then it becomes potentially more profitable for people to build single family homes for moderate and low income folks. If we can take the 15% and then we can do some things in terms of zoning, where instead of a single family residence, we do a duplex or a triplex or a fourplex, but make it where it's home ownership, then we have an opportunity to help build wealth for the people who buy those, but we also make it where it's affordable for developers to be able to do it.
Right.
So we have to think differently, because everything I've seen says we're going to have a housing crisis by 2020 or 2030 if we do not build about 18,000 new units of affordable housing. So you have to look at how do you get out of the way as government and make it easier for people to do it.
Absolutely.
Got another one?
No. And Omaha, your new mayor.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I'll just ask, kind of in closing, what's when it comes to the people, just, and you've kind of already said this about who you're gonna be, who you are, what you're campaigning on. What are some of the what's going to be your lasting point if people are watching this that you want to get across to them as your new mayor of Omaha? John Ewing, I will.
Well, let's start this way. I want people to trust what they've seen. You've seen me. You've seen me your whole 11 years. You've probably seen me most of your life.
Yes.
I have been in leadership in this community for 43 years. You've seen me. You've seen how I lead. You've seen how inclusive I am. You've seen how intentional I am. You've seen how I build partnerships. You've seen me be successful. What I want people to understand is those things are very transferable to the mayor's office, because it's an executive mentality of building things, building consensus, bringing people together, and getting stuff done. So at the end of the day, I would say to the people, I'm going to be very intentional about the things I've been talking about in this campaign. I'm going to build teams. For instance, when we talk about homeless and unsheltered people, I have relationships with the Sienna Francis House and Open Door Mission, and was on the board of Sienna Francis House and was board president. When we talk about decent and affordable housing, I was on the board of Habitat for Humanity, and I actually hired Amanda Brewer almost 20 years ago. So I have done the work and built the partnerships, and then we'll continue to expand those partnerships to get stuff done.
Right.
Because what I've learned, and my friend Johnny Rogers says this, if you can do it by yourself, it ain't big enough. And so I'm not going to tell people I can do this myself. I don't have all the answers, but I'm smart enough to find the people who do. And that's how we're going to get stuff done.
Yes, sir.
Amazing.
I appreciate it. I got one quick little question. Since we got a Streets A&R podcast, your day-to-day, when you need to get up and going in the morning, what's a song or an artist that you can lean to when you need that little jolt of energy or inspiration? Who do you go to?
I have two songs that I like.
Okay.
One is Fantastic Voyage by Lakeside
Yes.
from back in the day. And I like that song because right now I want people to get on board and understand that we're about to go on a fantastic voyage and make it happen.
Love it.
That's one. And then another one is Phil Collins, I Can Feel It Coming in the Air.
That is my song.
And I love it. And here's why I'm loving it even more. Because I can feel it. I believe I'm going to be your next mayor. And so I listen to that song in my head sometimes. I don't even have to have it on. I can just listen to it in my head and sing the words. And my wife is like, oh, here we go again.
Yeah. We're the space you're in right now, we're at the drummer breakdown
Yes.
before it goes to the chorus.
Oh, yeah.
Too, so.
I love that.
Yes.
Oh, man. Real quick, where can people who want to support you or find you, where can they find your campaign page? And,
Sure.
How can they support you right now as we're just days away from the election?
Sure. John Ewing for Omaha.com. The most important thing people can do is vote. Vote, vote, vote. The second thing people can do is talk to other people, especially if they've heard this podcast or any of the debates I've done. Talk to people about what I'm talking about so we get rid of all the noise that's out there and get to the facts. And the fact is that I'm the best candidate in this race. I've known that since I got in the race, and that's why we're going to win. But people vote, tell other people to vote, take people to the polls with you. If they have absentee ballots, help them fill it out, get it turned in, and let's make this happen.
Yes, sir.
Yay.
Y'all heard it here.
Yes.
Don't play, man. Well, Mr. Ewing, we definitely appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
Sharing with the people, sharing with the community, and we can't wait to see you in office.
Yes.
So,
Well, thank you for having me.
Yes.
Love being able to share my message with people because I want them to be inspired and believe. I'll share something with you all that I shared with my wife the other day. I feel like the hopes and dreams of North and South Omaha are on my shoulders, and I'm here to embrace it and get it done. So let's get it done.
yes, sir. Thank you so much, man. Glad to have y'all here at the Streets A&R Podcast. Y'all know where to find us. You can find us at Streets A&R. We're on everything but Apple. Make sure you like, subscribe, share, comment, watch, listen.
All of it.
Tell a friend to tell a friend, man. It's been a joy. I guess we stepping into the political game.
Yes.
We finna get right up. But it's all good, man. We appreciate you again, Mr. Ewing, for coming. And we are going to get up out of here, man. It's your host, Giddy Jicky with it.
And it's your girl, CLB.
And we out, man.
Peace.
Peace. the beats, the flow, the rhythm. All movement starts from the streets. Streets A&R Podcast.